The airplane was already full when Adam walked down the narrow aisle with his young son. Adam moved slowly, holding a small backpack on one shoulder and his son's hand in the other. His son's name was Leo. Leo was 7 years old, quiet and curious. He looked around the plane with wide eyes, excited but also a little nervous. Adam wore a simple jacket and old shoes. His face looked tired, the kind of tired that comes from many years of working hard without rest. He was a single father, and life had not been easy for him. Still, he smiled gently at Leo and pointed toward their seats near the middle of the plane. As Adam placed the backpack under the seat, Leo climbed in and buckled himself. Adam sat beside him and took a deep breath. This flight was important. They were traveling to attend a small event for Leo's school. Adam had promised he would be there, no matter what. A few rows ahead, a well-dressed man sat in first class. His name was Brian. He was a company CEO, confident and loud. He wore a sharp suit and spoke on his phone before takeoff, talking about deals and numbers. People around him could not help but hear. Brian glanced back toward Adam and Leo. His eyes moved over Adam's worn jacket and simple bag. He leaned toward the person next to him and smirked. "Some people really should save money before flying," Brian said with a quiet laugh. "This isn't a bus." The person next to him chuckled softly. Adam heard the words but did not turn around. He kept his eyes forward and placed a hand gently on Leo's shoulder. Leo looked up at his father. "Dad, are we okay here?" he asked softly. Adam smiled. "Yes, son. We are just fine." The plane began to move. The engines hummed, and the flight attendants went through their safety steps. Leo watched carefully, fascinated by everything. Adam stayed calm, though he always felt a small tension during flights. He hid it well for Leo's sake. Once the plane was in the air, the seatbelt sign turned off. People relaxed. Brian continued to talk loudly, now telling a story about how busy his life was and how important his work had become. He spoke about money, power, and success as if they were trophies. Every now and then, he glanced back again at Adam. Each time, his smile held a hint of mockery. Adam ignored it. He had learned long ago that silence was sometimes the strongest answer. He pulled out a small book from his bag and handed it to Leo. "Read a bit," Adam said. Leo nodded and began reading. Adam closed his eyes for a moment, letting the steady sound of the engines calm his thoughts. Memories passed through his mind, memories of a life that once looked very different. Not long into the flight, a sudden sound cut through the calm. It was not loud at first, just a strange vibration. The plane shook slightly. Some passengers looked around, confused. A moment later, the shaking grew stronger. A sharp noise echoed from somewhere outside. The plane dipped just a little, enough for people to gasp. Leo grabbed Adam's arm. "Dad," he whispered. Adam opened his eyes fully now. His face stayed calm, but his senses were alert. He listened carefully to the sound of the engines. Something was not right. The seatbelt sign turned on again. A flight attendant walked quickly down the aisle, her smile tight and forced. "Please remain seated and keep your seatbelts fastened," she said. Whispers filled the cabin. Brian stopped talking and looked around, his confident expression fading. The plane shook again, stronger this time. Overhead bags rattled. Someone cried softly. Adam placed one arm around Leo and pulled him close. "It's okay," he said in a steady voice. "Stay with me." Minutes passed like hours. Then the captain's voice came over the speaker. It was calm at first, but careful listeners could hear tension underneath. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking," the voice said. "We are experiencing a technical issue. Our crew is working on it. Please remain calm." The announcement ended, but the tension did not. Another shake followed. This time, it was enough to make the fear real. Brian gripped his armrest. His face had gone pale. A few moments later, the speaker clicked on again. The captain spoke again, but now the calm was gone. There was urgency in his voice. "Attention everyone," the captain said. "We need to ask a serious question. Is there any fighter pilot on board?" The cabin froze. People looked at each other in shock. Whispers turned into silence. Even the crying stopped. Brian's mouth fell open slightly. A flight attendant moved quickly down the aisle, scanning faces. "If anyone has experience flying high-performance aircraft, please identify yourself," she said, her voice shaking. Brian laughed nervously. "This must be some kind of joke," he muttered, but no one laughed with him. Adam closed his eyes for a brief second. His hand tightened just slightly around Leo. Leo looked up at him. "Dad, what does that mean?" Adam took a slow breath. "It means they need help," he said gently. The plane shook again, and this time the sound from the engines changed. Adam listened carefully. His expression shifted, not to fear, but to focus. The flight attendant passed by their row without stopping. Brian looked around wildly, hoping someone else would stand up. No one did. Seconds stretched. The captain's voice came again, more urgent now. "Please, if there is any trained fighter pilot on board, we need you immediately," he said. Adam opened his eyes and looked forward. For a long moment, he stayed seated. His heart beat steadily, not fast. He had trained himself long ago to stay calm in moments like this. Brian glanced back and saw Adam sitting quietly with his son. He scoffed under his breath. "As if," he whispered. Adam slowly unbuckled his seatbelt. Leo's eyes widened. "Dad." Adam turned to him and smiled softly. It was the same smile Leo had seen many times, the one that meant everything would be okay. "Stay here," Adam said. "I will be right back." He stood up. The movement caught attention. Heads turned. The flight attendant looked back, surprised. "Yes, sir," she asked quickly. "Do you have experience?" Adam nodded once. "Yes." The cabin went silent again, but this silence was different. It was heavy with disbelief. Brian stared at Adam, eyes full of doubt. He looked Adam up and down, the worn jacket, the simple shoes, the calm face. "You have got to be kidding," Brian muttered. Adam did not look at him. He followed the flight attendant toward the front of the plane. Each step felt steady, controlled. As Adam walked, memories came back more clearly now. Skies filled with noise, training runs, long missions, responsibility heavier than fear. A past he rarely spoke about, especially not around Leo. At the cockpit door, the flight attendant knocked quickly. The door opened just enough for Adam to slip inside. The door closed behind him. Inside the cabin, passengers whispered again. Brian leaned back in his seat, shaking his head. "That guy," he said to himself. "No way." Leo sat quietly, hands folded, eyes fixed on the cockpit door. He trusted his father without question. In the cockpit, the captain turned and looked at Adam with tired eyes. "You said you are a fighter pilot." Adam met his gaze calmly. "Yes," he said. "Former." The captain nodded once, not wasting time. "Then we really need you." Outside, the plane continued to move through the sky, carrying fear, hope, and a secret that was about to change everything. Inside the cockpit, the air felt tight and heavy. Warning lights blinked softly on the panels. The captain wiped his forehead and took a quick breath. The co-pilot looked exhausted, hands steady but eyes strained. "We lost full control of one engine," the captain said. "Auto systems are not responding the way they should." Adam stepped closer, eyes scanning the instruments. He did not rush. He did not panic. His movements were calm, trained, and precise. "When did the vibration start?" Adam asked. "About 10 minutes ago," the co-pilot replied. "Then we heard a loud sound. After that, power dropped." Adam nodded. "You did the right thing calling for help." The captain looked at Adam again. "You are really a fighter pilot." "Yes," Adam replied. "I flew for many years." No more questions were asked. There was no time for doubt. Adam studied the controls. His mind shifted fully into focus. The cockpit sounds felt familiar, almost comforting. The sky outside the window looked peaceful, which often hid the hardest moments. "We need to stabilize first," Adam said. "Then we decide the next step." The captain nodded and followed Adam's guidance. Slowly, the shaking reduced. Not gone, but less violent. Enough to breathe. Back in the cabin, passengers felt the change. The plane still trembled, but not as sharply. A quiet hope spread through the rows. Brian noticed it too. He sat up straight, gripping his seat. His earlier confidence was gone. His thoughts raced. That guy, Brian thought. Who is he really? He glanced toward Leo. The boy sat quietly, looking toward the cockpit door, calm in a way that did not match the fear around him. A woman across the aisle leaned closer to Leo. "Are you okay, sweet boy?" she asked. Leo nodded. "My dad is helping," he said softly. The woman smiled weakly. "Your dad is very brave." Leo smiled back, proud but calm. In the cockpit, Adam continued to guide the crew. He adjusted settings, checked readings, and listened closely to the sounds of the aircraft. "We cannot continue to our destination," Adam said. "We need to prepare for an emergency landing." The captain agreed. "Nearest airport is 40 minutes away." Adam shook his head. "That is too far with this condition. We need closer." They searched the map quickly and found a smaller airport within range. It was not ideal, but it was possible. "Can the runway handle this aircraft?" the co-pilot asked. Adam studied the details. "It will be tight," he said. "But it can be done." The captain hesitated only a moment. "Then we do it." The announcement was made. The captain spoke carefully, choosing each word. "Ladies and gentlemen, we will be landing at a nearby airport sooner than planned," he said. "Please remain seated and follow crew instructions." Fear rippled again, but this time it came with direction. Flight attendants moved quickly but calmly. Instructions were repeated. Seatbelts checked. Brian swallowed hard. He had flown many times, but never like this. He closed his eyes and tried to slow his breathing. The plane shook again, stronger now. Adam felt it immediately. "Wind shift," he said. "I will handle manual control." The captain stepped back slightly, giving Adam space. Adam's hands moved with purpose. Every motion was smooth, practiced, almost gentle. "Talk to me," the captain said. "I am adjusting for balance," Adam replied. "We are still within limits." Minutes passed. Sweat formed on the captain's brow. The co-pilot watched Adam closely, impressed by the calm precision. "You fly like you never left," the co-pilot said. Adam did not smile. Some skills never fade. Outside, clouds moved past the window. The ground felt closer now. The aircraft began its descent. In the cabin, passengers felt the drop. Some held hands. Some whispered prayers. Some cried quietly. Brian looked around. He noticed something he had not before. Adam's son was not crying. He was not shaking. He was watching calmly, trusting completely. Brian felt a strange feeling in his chest. Shame mixed with relief. "I judged him," Brian thought. "And I was wrong." The plane descended further. The shaking returned, sharp and sudden. The sound from the damaged engine changed again. Adam tightened his grip slightly. "Stay with me," he said quietly to the aircraft, as if it could hear him. The captain watched closely. "Can we make it?" "Yes," Adam replied. "But everyone must stay calm." He spoke clearly and firmly, guiding the plane lower. The runway came into view. "Landing gear," Adam said. The co-pilot confirmed. "Down and locked." The final moments were the hardest. Wind pushed against the plane. The damaged engine protested. Adam adjusted again, compensating, steadying. Back in the cabin, Leo closed his eyes. Not in fear, but in quiet trust. He remembered nights when his father had held him during storms, voice calm, arms strong. Brian leaned forward, gripping the seat in front of him. His heart pounded. The wheels touched the runway. For a moment, it felt rough. Then steadier. Then strong. The plane rolled forward, slowing. The shaking faded. And then, silence. The aircraft came to a stop. For one long second, no one spoke. Then applause broke out. It started in the back and rushed forward like a wave. People cried openly now, not from fear, but relief. Flight attendants smiled through tears. In the cockpit, the captain let out a long breath and laughed softly. "We did it," he said. Adam nodded. His shoulders relaxed for the first time. "You saved us," the captain said, turning to him. Adam shook his head. "We did it together." The cockpit door opened. Applause grew louder. Passengers stood, clapping, cheering. Adam stepped out slowly. Leo saw him first. His face lit up. "Dad," he called. Adam walked down the aisle toward his son. Passengers reached out, touching his arm, thanking him. "Thank you," one said. "You are a hero," another whispered. Adam nodded politely, focused only on Leo. Brian stood as Adam passed. His face was red with emotion. "I owe you an apology," Brian said quietly. "I was wrong about you." Adam stopped and looked at him calmly. "Everyone makes mistakes," he said. "What matters is what you learn." Brian nodded, unable to speak. Adam reached his seat and hugged Leo tightly. "You did great," Leo said. "So did you," Adam replied. Outside the plane, emergency teams waited. The danger was over, but the impact of what happened was just beginning. The story of the flight spread quickly among passengers. A single father. A quiet man. A past no one expected. And one CEO who would never forget the lesson learned at 30,000 feet. The plane remained still on the runway as emergency teams surrounded it. Bright lights reflected off the metal body of the aircraft. Inside, passengers slowly returned to their senses. Fear had left them, replaced by relief and quiet wonder. Adam stayed seated for a moment longer, holding Leo close. He felt the small rise and fall of his son's breathing. That sound meant everything was safe. "You okay?" Adam asked softly. Leo nodded. "I knew you would fix it," he said. Adam smiled. "I did my best." The cabin door finally opened. Fresh air rushed inside. One by one, passengers stood and walked out. Many looked back at Adam as they passed. Some thanked him again. Some only nodded, still overwhelmed. Brian waited near the exit. He watched Adam carefully now, not with judgment, but with respect. Outside the plane, the night air felt cool. Flashing lights painted the ground in red and white. Emergency workers guided passengers toward the terminal. The captain walked beside Adam. "I have flown for 20 years, he said. "I have never seen someone handle pressure like you did." Adam nodded politely. "Training teaches calm," he said. "Your training saved lives," the captain replied. News reporters were already gathering near the gate. Word had spread fast. Phones were out. Cameras pointed. Adam noticed them and slowed his steps. He did not like attention. He looked down at Leo. "Stay close," Adam said. They reached the terminal. Airport staff offered water and blankets. Passengers sat together, talking quietly, sharing their experience. Brian approached Adam again. This time, he stood straight, no arrogance in his posture. "I do not usually say this," Brian said, "but I was wrong from the start. I judged you without knowing anything about you." Adam looked at him calmly. "Life teaches lessons in strange places," he said. Brian nodded. "I run companies. I make decisions about people every day. Tonight showed me how blind that can be." Adam said nothing. He listened. Brian glanced at Leo. Your son should be proud. He already is, Adam said gently. The captain was pulled aside by officials. The co-pilot shook Adam's hand firmly. I hope we never meet like that again, he said with a tired smile. Adam returned the smile. Same here. A woman from the airline approached. Sir, we would like to arrange accommodation for you and your son tonight, she said. And a new flight tomorrow. Adam thanked her. Reporters edged closer. One called out, Sir, can you tell us about your background? Adam paused. He looked around at the tired faces, the shaken children, the quiet relief everywhere. I was once a fighter pilot, Adam said calmly. That part of my life is over. Tonight, I was just a father doing what he could. That was all he said. They were taken to a nearby hotel. The room was simple and clean. Leo sat on the bed, swinging his legs. Dad, Leo said, were you scared? Adam sat beside him. Yes, he said honestly. But fear does not have to control us. Leo thought about that. I want to be brave like you. Adam placed a hand on his shoulder. Brave means caring, he said. Not showing off. Leo smiled and hugged him. The next morning, the story was everywhere. News channels talked about the emergency landing. Social media shared clips recorded by passengers. Comments poured in. Most talked about the unknown man who stepped forward. Brian sat in his hotel room, watching the coverage. He replayed the moment in his mind. His own words echoed in his head, sharp and careless. He opened his laptop and began writing an email. Not about business. About values. Later that day, Adam and Leo returned to the airport for their new flight. The mood felt different now. Quieter. Kinder. At the gate, a group of passengers from the same flight recognized Adam. They nodded, smiled, some waved. Brian approached once more. He held out his hand. Adam shook it. I changed a few things last night, Brian said. In my company. In my thinking. Adam looked at him. Good, he said simply. Would you ever consider working with us? Brian asked carefully. Not because of last night. But because of who you are. Adam smiled slightly. I already have my most important job, he said, looking at Leo. Brian nodded. I understand. They boarded the new plane. This time, the flight was smooth. The sky was clear. Leo leaned against the window. I like flying, he said. Adam laughed softly. So do I. As the plane rose, Adam felt a calm he had not felt in years. Not from flying. From knowing he had done the right thing. Across the aisle, Brian watched father and son. He saw not poverty or weakness, but strength and quiet dignity. The plane moved steadily through the sky. Sometimes, the greatest lessons come not from success, but from moments of fear. And sometimes, heroes look like ordinary people sitting quietly beside their children. The flight continued, peaceful and uneventful. And when it landed, everyone walked away changed in small but important ways. The days after the flight passed quietly for Adam and Leo, but the world around them did not slow down. News stories continued to appear. People shared videos and comments. Some called Adam a hero. Others called him a miracle. Adam ignored most of it. He focused on his son, his work, and keeping life normal. Leo returned to school. His teacher spoke about courage that week, not knowing how close the lesson was to Leo's heart. Leo did not brag. He only listened and smiled. At home, Adam fixed small things around the house. A loose door handle. A flickering light. Simple work that grounded him. In the evenings, he helped Leo with homework and listened to stories about school. One afternoon, Adam received a letter. It was from the airline. Inside was a simple note of thanks and an offer of support. Adam read it once and placed it in a drawer. He did not need praise. He needed peace. Across the city, Brian sat in his office, staring out the window. The building was tall, glass and steel, a symbol of success. Yet it felt different now. Meetings had changed. Brian listened more. He watched people more closely. He noticed effort instead of appearance. He asked about families, not just numbers. One of his managers noticed the change. "You seem different," she said. Brian nodded. "I met someone who reminded me what matters." Weeks later, Brian requested a meeting with Adam. Not in an office. Not over contracts. Just coffee. Adam agreed. They met at a small cafe near a park. Leo played nearby, chasing birds and laughing. Brian arrived without his suit. He wore simple clothes. He looked more relaxed than Adam remembered. "Thank you for coming," Brian said. Adam nodded. "You wanted to talk." Brian took a breath. "That flight changed me. I built my life on success and image. I forgot about character." Adam listened quietly. "I want to help," Brian continued. "Not as a CEO. As a person." Adam considered this. "Help how?" Brian smiled. "You were a fighter pilot. You have discipline and skill. I want to support programs that help young people learn focus and responsibility. You could guide that." Adam looked toward Leo. He thought about his past. About lessons learned the hard way. "I will think about it," Adam said. That evening, Adam and Leo walked home together. "Dad," Leo asked, "why do people keep calling you special?" Adam smiled. "Because they saw something new." "What?" "That anyone can do the right thing," Adam replied. Leo nodded thoughtfully. Months passed. Adam agreed to help with the program, part-time. He worked with young people, teaching calm thinking and respect. He never spoke about the flight unless asked. Brian funded the program quietly. He never put his name first. One day, at a small event, Adam stood watching the group. Brian stood beside him. "You never told them what you did," Brian said. Adam shook his head. "They do not need a story. They need guidance." Brian smiled. "I am still learning." Adam placed a hand on his shoulder. "So am I." Leo ran up, holding a paper plane he had made. "Look," he said. Adam laughed. "That one might fly better than the real ones." They watched Leo throw it into the air. It glided for a moment, then landed softly. Adam felt something settle inside him. Not pride. Not relief. Purpose. The world moved on. Headlines faded. Videos stopped trending. But lessons remained. A CEO learned humility. A child learned courage. And a single father learned that his quiet strength could change more than one life. The sky above was clear. And for the first time in a long while, Adam felt truly free.